Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jason and welcome to Deep Seeded Geek episode 7. Not much more I can say about that. So the discussion topic today is about player choice when it comes to video game relationships. Now I'm not talking about the kind of relationships that you kind of establish between two people on World of Warcraft online or something like that. And I'm not talking about the uber creepy kind of, gamers lusting after fictional characters, because, well, basically I don't have any kind of point of reference for either of those two. As much as I would love for Elena Fisher to be real and so incredibly awesome, I like my girls to be reality-based. Actually, what I am referring to is the video game relationships you establish with your characters in the actual video game world. A ton of games nowadays are emphasizing player choice, meaning you can decide the final outcome of a number of consequences or sequences throughout the game. One of the most intriguing aspects of this game mechanic is who you create bonds with and who you choose not to. Now, to put this in perspective, I'm going to tell you about two different scenarios that I've come across myself. So the first example I'm going to use is Mass Effect 2. Well, essentially Mass Effect 1 leading into Mass Effect 2. Now, between missions where you go around shooting aliens in the face and just traveling the universe in this game series, in between those missions you have downtime where you can kind of converse with your comrades and build up friendships between them all. So depending on the sex of your character you've created and your sexual orientation, you have a few options as to which characters you can romance throughout the game. My first playthrough through Mass Effect, I played as a male shepherd, which is the name of the main character, and I chose to romance this blue-skinned alien with tentacle-like hair named Liara. Now my other option for that particular character was another human female, but I went with the blue alien option instead, because blue alien. Now this game was astonishing, unlike anything I had played before that time. It definitely justified the $60 price tag of the game, as well as purchasing an Xbox 360 console just so I could play the game. A couple of years after that, Mass Effect 2 came out, and it's one of the rare instances where a sequel is so much better than the original. It's just astounding. But there was one flaw that stuck out for me. This is a game that lets you carry over your save progress from one game to the other, which means all of the decisions that you made in the first game have ramifications in the second. All the friendships and the romances that you made in the first game carry over as well. And here's where I have a problem. In the sequel to Mass Effect, my original love interest, Liara, was not in the game. I mean, she makes an appearance, you kind of say hi and she kisses you on the cheek and everything, but that's it. You don't see her again throughout the entire game. She's not on your squad. She's not there for the final battle or anything. You can't romance her in the second one. Well, that sucks. If all the decisions that I made throughout the first game were going to have big ramifications in the second game, wouldn't my love interest be like a big part of that whole scenario? I was completely bummed out with that. But not so bummed out that I didn't get with another chick on my new team. But here's where the problem comes. After the game had been released, a few months down the line, they started releasing downloadable content to add on to the experience of the second game. One of them was called Lair of the Shadow Broker, and the main person in this DLC was Liara, my first love interest. And get this, upon completing the DLC, Liara and I have this conversation where she knows I hooked up with another squad mate. So she knows I cheated on her. And here's the bad part. The person I cheated on her with was on our original squad in the first game. So I became that douchebag who not only cheated on my girl, but cheated on her with her best friend. I could not stand the idea of being that guy. Breaking the heart of a person that I was committed to, that goes against every fiber in my being. And for a video game to cheat me out of that and put me in that position, I was pissed off. So I did what anybody else in my position would have done. I restarted the entire game, played through it from scratch, erased all my previous history of Mass Effect 2, and started again, knowing that Liara was going to be waiting for me. Because I'll be damned if I'm going to be that guy. So I played a 30+ hour game twice, just so I wouldn't cheat on my in-game video girlfriend. Because as Meatloaf once said, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Oh, mission accomplished, I achieved what I wanted to do, got the girl, and in the third game I'm expecting a lot of half blue alien, half humanoid babies. Right on. But that wasn't the only time I had been hit with this sense of love and honor in a video game. The most recent time was with a little known title called Skyrim. Now, if you don't play video games, you probably do have a friend, by association or otherwise, that does. And if you do have that particular friend, guaranteed you've heard whispers or little hidden conversations that has one name in it: Skyrim. If you haven't heard the whisperings, you've definitely heard the responses to the whisperings, which is usually, "That game is awesome!" which is totally justified. Now, I did a quick fact check here, just so I can get all this right, to paint a picture for you here, okay? Let's see, the game has 16 square kilometers of land to explore, 130 plus dungeons. On top of that, hundreds of non-playable characters inhabit the world. There are potentially limitless quests you can accomplish, and the game will take well over 300 hours to do everything the game has to offer. Now, like I said, this isn't me waving the banner or saying, hey, buy Skyrim or anything. That ship has sailed, okay? This is just me painting a picture to give you the idea of scope, the setting for my next story. Now, like in Mass Effect, there are a bunch of friends and companions you can take along quest lines and everything and develop friendships with. And you have the option to actually marry people in Skyrim. Now, of the people in Skyrim, there are 62 potential candidates to be your lawfully wedded husband or wife. I'll say that again. There are 60 freaking 2 people you can choose to marry in Skyrim. And after a long while of playing the video game, I recalled one girl in a questline that I did that kind of stood out in my mind. And I did a quick little reference check to see if she was one of the possible options to marry, okay? So I took out my little player's guide, flipped it around, found her character page, and sure enough, she was one of them. Now, I don't want to say specifically which questline it was or which character it was that I married, because the last thing I want is a bunch of trolls coming up on YouTube and typing in the comments section, "I banged your wife." I don't want that. So shortly thereafter, I proposed to the girl in question, we got married, and in the game they actually have a wedding ceremony for you. And then I went off and finished the whole game, completed the quest, and saved the whole world from the abomination that are dragons. And in the end, I went out with a true fairy tale ending. My character came back home, I walked in the door of the little house that I shared with my wife, hung up my bow on the door, took off my hood, took off my mask, walked over to the kitchen table where my wife was seated and she was knitting a little something in the corner there. And as I approached, she looked up at me and she just said, "Welcome home, my love." Saved the game, and now that image is the screensaver for my save game progress. So anytime I load up the game, that's the first image I see. Whenever I close the game, that's the first image I see. Nice way to kind of bookend my whole experience of Skyrim. Now, as sweet as that is, that's not the end of my story. That's just the beginning. Because from there, a few months later, I bought my first gaming PC. And I thought to myself, what game could I possibly buy that would show off the monstrous power of this new computer I have? Let me think, what's a pretty game out there? Oh, I know, Skyrim! So I bought the game again. And I got sucked into it again. And I played it for over 100 hours. Again. But this time I had the added bonus of PC mods, which are little programs that people have come up with to enhance the overall experience and change it up a little bit within the game. Such as something as crazy as in Skyrim, you can have lightsabers. Who'd have thought? You can ride dragons, you can build your own home, okay? These are all things that weren't in the original game, but are kind of built by the community to support the game, and the developers let them do that. One of these mods unlocked every person in Skyrim to become eligible for marriage. So there I was, going around all of Skyrim, lining everybody up, trying to find out who was the perfect match for my new character in this PC Skyrim, okay? So I was looking around, trying to find someone completely different from my wife from the first game, okay? And I found her. A warrior woman, a sexy warrior woman. She was more man than I was, to be honest, but that was the one for me. So there I was, round 2. I brought the woman up to the altar there, They said the whole thing, do you take this woman, do you take this man? But I couldn't do it. Why, you may ask? Because somewhere in this 16 square kilometers of video game world, there was a young woman who was waiting for me to come home, hang out my gear, so she could just say, welcome home, my love. So I left my sexy warrior woman at the altar and ran out the door and went straight out looking for that young woman who broke my heart in the first game, and I married her all over again in the second game. Now, what is the point of me telling you these two stories? Honestly, I'm not too sure. I think I lost my way a little bit there telling those stories. But it does beg the question, the choices that we make in these video games, do they reflect our real-world personalities? In video games, do gamers typically make the decisions they would in real life? Or do they make the decisions that they only wish they could make? Are the morals and values that you hold dear in real life portrayed in your video game character? Or are video games a way of exploration and doing all the things that you never would do in real life? Because I'll be honest with you, if I had the option of getting down with like a blue-skinned, tentacle-haired alien chick in real life, no question, I would totally tap that. So that's the discussion for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have anything you'd like to add to it, comments or otherwise, or share something of your own personal experience with video games, please do so in the comments down below. If you like this video, indicate with a little like button. If you want to share this with some of your friends who would be interested in this content, hit the share button down below. Find us on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to this channel so you can be updated when any new videos come out on YouTube. And with that, I want to say have a good day, and we'll see you next time on Deep Seeded Geek. Take care.